The focus of this video is on point slope form, not only understanding where the slope is in point slope form, but also to be able to write it eventually, or understand the form. So the first thing to note is that this M right here in this block letter form is the slope. So X continues to be your landmark. So you're looking in front of the X's to find the number that identifies what your slope of the line is. And then you'll note that this looks very overwhelming because of the number of X's and Y's in just this generic form. But really, this Y1 right here, this is actually a number. And this X1 right here is also a number. So they are just a placeholder. Those are from a coordinate that's also on the line. It's not the y-intercept, or it doesn't have to be. It could be any coordinate at all. So the only thing, or the three things that I've highlighted there, those are all going to be numbers. Your biggest thing that you're looking for, though, is the slope right now. This point right here is where we're trying to make sure that you can find or identify. So when you look at these equations down here, the first thing is to find your landmark, which is your X values, and look in front. So here's X, I look in front. My slope here is 4. And then just to review a parallel and a perpendicular slope, my parallel slope will be the exact same. My perpendicular slope will be the opposite reciprocal. So I'm going to make it negative because it was positive, and then flip that 4 around so it becomes 1 over 4. So again, on the second one, if I look in front of my X's, I've got a negative 1/3 slope. So a parallel slope would be negative 1/3, and the perpendicular opposite reciprocal, that would be 3. And the last one, if I look in front of X, I see 1/8. So my parallel slope would also be 1/8. Perpendicular would be negative now because the other one was positive. And if I flip that fraction around, that's just 8, or 8 over 1. Okay, so now it's time to actually try to write these things, okay? So let's try to make sure that we can plug in the information. And this is the part where I haven't really discussed this yet. So because this equation has a minus sign here and a minus sign here, instead of thinking about them as minus signs, I want you to think about them as opposite signs. So what that means is when you go to plug in the coordinate in that position, you're going to plug in, you're going to write the opposite of the coordinate that you see. Okay, so I'm going to write this down here so you can see it. Mx minus x1. Okay, so remember, we're going to plug in a number here. This is our slope. And then we're going to plug in a number here. This is our y coordinate. And here, this is our x coordinate, and we're going to make sure we use opposite the sign that we see on just the coordinate parts. So if I label everything under here, this is my slope, so this is m, this is x1, and this is y1, because coordinates are written x comma y, all right? So when we go to plug this in, I'm going to say y, and then I look at my y coordinate. So if I look here, that's this one right here, that 9. That 9 is positive 9. So I'm going to write negative 9 equals, and then I'm plugging in my slope, negative 5 halves, and then in parentheses, x, and then I get to this x1, and again, if I look up here, I've got a negative 4, so because it's negative, I'm going to write positive 4. So that would be my point slope form. I've taken the slope and put it in front of the x's, and then I've plugged in my coordinate, and I've made sure to use the opposite sign when I plugged it in. Okay, so let's try another one. So again, I have y, and then I look at my y coordinate. There's y, there's x, there's m. So y is positive 1. So I'm going to write minus 1. Equals, m is 3, and then x, the x here is positive 8, so minus 8. Last one, you try. Push pause on this video, and then push play when you're ready to check to see if you did it. I'm going to write these bottom ones pretty quickly here. If you want to push pause and try all these, and then, turn it back on to see how you did. Okay, the last thing that you need to know for point slope form. So first step, you have to be able to identify where the slope is. Second step, you have to be able to take information and plug it into point slope form. Last thing you have to be able to do with it is to change it into slope intercept form. So we're going to do algebra to do that. Okay, so we're going to distribute first. So we're going to look to distribute the slope, right? So when I do that, I get y plus 4 equals 4x minus 20. And then after I distribute the slope, I'm going to get y alone by add or subtract the number, right? So in this case, that number is this plus 4. Okay, I want to move that to the other side so that it's in slope-intercept form. So just to remind you, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b, where y is alone, okay? So in this case, I'm going to subtract 4 from both sides, right? Which I'm going to do that on the side. So I had y plus 4 equals 4x minus 20. And I'm going to subtract 4. And then I'm going to put that under the 20 because that's its like term. So once I do that, I get y equals 4x minus 24. This is our slope-intercept form that I'm going to go with here. Okay, so I can see my slope and my y-intercept just by doing distributed property and then add or subtract by the number that's with y. All right, let's do one more together here. So here's my slope. I'm going to distribute that to the x and to the 6. So y minus 1 equals negative 1/3 x, and then negative 1/3 times 6 is negative 2. That's my first step. And then I'm going to add because I see that I have subtraction here. So I always do the opposite. So I'm going to add 1, and I'm going to add it to its like term. So y equals negative 1/3 x minus 1. There is my slope-intercept form. All right, I'm going to go ahead and do the work for these. You may push pause and then just turn it back on to see the answers, but go ahead and give some of these a try. Careful on this one because that's a negative times a negative. All right, as always, if you have any questions on those things, ask. Remember that you do have to know this point slope form. It's not going to be given to you. So please start kind of putting that to memory because it's a large part of this standard.